Prenatal development. Conception occurs when a single sperm cell from the male unites with an ovum in the female's fallopian tube. Prenatal development lasts between 266 to 280 days, which would be 38 to 40 weeks. Typically, prenatal development begins with fertilization and ends with birth. It can be divided into 3 periods known as germinal, embryonic, and the fetal period. The germinal period takes place in the first 2 weeks after conception. This is when the fertilized egg, called a zygote, is created, and then cell division and attachment of the zygote to the uterine wall. Rapid cell division by the zygote continues. This process is known as mitosis. A group of cells called blastocysts will develop in the embryo, and the trophoblasts, which are the outer layer of the cells, provide nutrition for the embryo. About 11 to 15 days after conception, implantation occurs. This is when the zygote attaches to the uterine wall. The embryonic period occurs from 2 to 8 weeks after conception. During this period, support systems for cells from and organs begin to appear. The mass of cells are now called an embryo. The inner cells are called endoderm, which is where the digestive and respiratory systems form. The middle layer of cells are called the mesoderm, which is where the circulatory system, bones, muscles, excretory system, and reproductive systems form. The last layer is known as the outer layer, which is called the ectoderm. This is where the nervous system and brain, sensory receptors, which would be the ears, nose, and eyes, form. The skin parts, such as the hair and nails, also form. Eventually, every body part will develop from these 3 layers. Here's a picture of an embryo from week 5 through week 8. This just goes to show how much it forms and changes in only 4 weeks. Still in the embryonic period is when the life support systems are developing: the amnion, umbilical cord, and placenta. The amnion is like a bag that contains clear fluid in which the embryo floats. This is the environment of the baby that stays at a comfortable temperature. Next is the umbilical cord. It contains 2 arteries and 1 vein, which is connected to the placenta. The placenta is a group of tissues where small blood vessels from the mother and the offspring intertwine, but they do not join. The fetal period is from 2 months after conception until the child is born. This period is usually about 7 months long. At this time, the fetus is about 3 inches long and weighs only 3 ounces. The fetus also becomes very active by moving its arms and legs, opening its mouth, as well as moving its head. Most of the times, the genitals can be identified as a male or female. By the end of the 6th month, the fetus is about 14 inches long and weighs about 2 pounds. The eyes are now formed and the hair begins to cover the head. Now is when the grasping reflex is presented and the breathing movements start to occur. By the 8th month, the average fetus weighs 7.5 pounds and 20 inches long. A way to distinguish the different time periods of pregnancy is to go by trimesters. The first trimester is the first 3 months, the second trimester is the middle 3 months, while the third trimester is the last 3 months of pregnancy. When babies are born, they have about 100 billion neurons, which are nerve cells that handle the information processing at the cellular level of the brain. During prenatal development, neurons move to the right locations and start connecting to one another. Also, at birth, the brain weighs about 25% of its adult weight. The embryo can be affected in many different ways. We call this hazards of teratogens. This is any agent that can potentially cause a birth defect or negatively alter cognitive and behavioral outcomes. Some examples of this include prescription and non-prescription drugs, psychoactive drugs like caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana, and heroin. If the mother drinks alcohol during her pregnancy, the child can be born with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Abnormalities of this disorder include facial deformities and defective limbs, face, and heart. Most of the time, these children have learning disabilities as well. A few more examples of these include incompatible blood types, environmental hazards, and maternal diseases. Maternal diet and nutrition also plays a large role in this. According to www.babyzone.com, if the mother's diet is high in fruits and veggies, it can reduce the child's allergy risk. The age of the mother plays a role in the health of the child as well. The mortality rate to infants born to adolescent mothers is doubled compared to the infants born to mothers in their 20s. A baby born to a mother over 40 years of age has the probability of 1 in 100 that it will have Down syndrome. But, according to www.babycentra.com, studies show that the healthier mothers remain while pregnant at an older age. Their reproductive systems remain healthier than what was ever thought could be in the past. Here's a video that you can watch that shows the fetus at different ages throughout a pregnancy.